right. Governor, you were in Philadelphia today, and I guess late yesterday, the state Supreme Court on one of the vital issues. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania has become the center of the universe on photo ID, which you and I have talked about a number of times. Your thoughts on the state Supreme Court essentially punting this by a 42 vote, 1 Democrat, 3 Republicans, back to the lower court with the election clock ticking away on voter ID?
Well, the election's, what, 49 days away?
It was counting.
Anybody that's running for office right now is counting. And all of us watching television are counting. And it would have been nice if they would have made the decision. They've decided in their infinite wisdom that they needed more information. They sent it back to the Commonwealth Court. Judge Simpson, I think, is scheduled a hearing for Tuesday, I believe is the date now that I was told earlier today, to take some more testimony, to see if there's been enough time, and to see if the procedures have been out there that he feels are adequate and constitutional under the laws of the United States and of Pennsylvania. And then he'll make his decision. I'm sure that will go back to the Supreme Court, and they'll make a decision on November the 6th.
Now, when you and I have talked, though, in public statements, you think this is a rather simple matter, and you see this level of complication in the state Supreme Court. I think Judge Simpson had a 77-page ruling on this. Tom Corbett, as governor and as former prosecutor and as a lawyer, why do you see this as a relatively simple matter, despite the national outcry really around Pennsylvania?
Well, I firmly believe that if you look at the surveys that have been taken, the people of Pennsylvania wanted this law, and the legislature passed it. That's number one. Number two, the vast majority of people have some form of photo ID, and we've made the law, or they have made the law, and I signed it. Ones that accept driver's license, accept school ID if it has a expiration date to it, accept a passport, accept I'm trying to think, a military ID, and there's a couple other forms. We've done everything we can to try and make this available to everybody. But the other reason is this law was passed and signed in I believe, the end of March. There has been plenty of time between then and now, and going into the November election, to get that photo ID. What's interesting is it has spurred people to, I think, get registered to vote, and that's good. And two, then to get the photo ID, and it has spurred interest groups in helping people get the photo ID and get out there to vote. So contrary to what people were saying about the effect on the election, I think it's going to get more people out to vote. I believe in getting people out to vote. I hope they vote the way I believe, but if they don't, they don't. But I really think that we need to have more participation, but we need to show who we are when we go into that polling place.
Talking about coming out to vote, presidential politics, there will be a poll coming out tomorrow, a Susquehanna poll that I'm aware of, and I think you may be, that indicates that Governor Romney is essentially a percentage point behind in Pennsylvania, much different than some of the other polling that we've seen. We've all seen Romney's videotape where he talked about 47% of people not paying federal taxes. Your thoughts on what he was trying to get at and how you see that playing out in Pennsylvania, Governor?
Well, first off, there's only one poll that matters, and that's the one that's on November the 6th. And we see polls, depending upon the pollster, it varies from, it's close, it's far apart. I believe it's very close. My poll was I talked to people. And I talked to people, Republicans, Democrats, Independents. I don't know whether they're registered to vote or not vote, whether they will vote. But what I understand from them is there's a great deal of concern about the direction of this country in the last 4 years. This country, the vast majority of people, I don't believe, can say that they are better off today than they were 40 years ago. And as I will face in 2 years, an election for a re-election is basically a referendum on did you do a good job? And I don't think that there people feel comfortable that the President occupant of the White House, President Obama, really has done a good job for the interest all across the board of not only Pennsylvanians, but for the entire United States.
Let me turn it around to you. Only 2 years in, it seems like a lot more given all that we've seen. Tom Corbett, how would you put yourself in that position about the job you've done so far, what you've tried to do? If you were making that pitch, if this were getting closer to the election,
well, if I relied upon the polls, everybody would go, my goodness, what's going on? But you can't rely upon the polls. You can't govern looking at the polls. If you rely upon governing by looking at polls, you're not going to get done the job that you said you would do. And I think if people sat down today and looked at the promises I made during the course of the campaign, where I said that we would get fiscal sanity back into Harrisburg, we would bring common sense to Harrisburg, we would get a balanced budget done on time, we would not spend beyond our means. We've accomplished that 2 times, 2 years in a row. Now, I understand, it's hard. But we had been spending out of control. People became used to money that came to the federal government, spending beyond our means, borrowing beyond our means. And the way I looked at it when I was running for office, and the way I still look at it today, is I look at the future. I see a young little baby there. She's probably only 6 or 8 months old. What's her future going to be if we continue to do what we have been doing? And so when you say, look, we're going to prune back that bush of spending, it kind of looks ugly. But then it can grow back the way it needs to grow back with controlled growth. I believe we're in the right position for what we have been doing to keep our spending under control to see the economy in Pennsylvania start to turn around. Today, what we did in the Philadelphia Energy Solutions, taking the Sunoco facilities, and we tore the sign off to show the Philadelphia Energy Solutions. Thousands and thousands of jobs were saved in Pennsylvania. And why? Because there was a company, there was an investment company outside of Pennsylvania that said, we believe we can do better in Pennsylvania. We believe that the business climate of Pennsylvania is improving, and we can help those workers. And one of the things that we should look at, in the last 6 months, I've participated in 3 or 4 events where bipartisanship broke out. And when I say bipartisan, it's not just political bipartisan. I've been on the stage with Republicans and Democrats, but with labor and industry. All 4 categories together saying, we can do better for the people of Pennsylvania. I think that's what the people want. I think that's what they want in Washington. But if you look at the capitals around the states, of the various states, you look at the Republican governors, they're trying to bring that fiscal sanity back. And it's not easy to do.
Let's talk about the not easy part, though, what gets in the way, because obviously people put you into office and you're following through on what you did. The email, we suggested listeners send us email questions. As you can see, this is a pretty long one. This is a guy I know is very conservative and a fan of yours, and he asked this question, though. He said, ask the governor, can't be here tonight, I think he has a birthday party. I said, that's no excuse. But ask the governor, why is it with the Republican legislature, up and down the line, and Corbett committed to this, we hear him every month on your show, why don't we have vouchers, charter schools, liquor store privatization? Why don't we have any number of those things?
Well, let's back it up. We do have charters. I think we need to get them reformed. We have the scholarship opportunity grants now. Some people would equate that to vouchers. We have the education income tax credit. We expanded that. We are starting to make those changes. We may not, there, just as in the Republican Party, there is in the Democrat Party a spectrum within there, from a moderate to a liberal to a conservative side within that. Well, if I look at my Republican legislature in the House and the Senate, I see that. They are not always going to agree on everything. There's not lockstep on everything. And you have to work through that. That's why I go back to the bipartisanship. The credit, the manufacturing resource tax credit, that deals with the use of natural gas and keeping it in Pennsylvania and using it for manufacturing in Pennsylvania, that was derided by the papers in the very beginning, and maybe because we didn't put it out there the correct way, has now been accepted as a performance-based tax credit that was supported bipartisan, labor, industry, Republican, Democrat. We need to be able to do more of that.
Governor, tomorrow you and I will be at the Shale, Marcellus Shale Commission. They're holding a coalition. They're holding their hearing here, their convention. And the Marcellus Shale thing has taken off. I think they're opening in Bucks County their first natural gas, a place where people can go for that. I read these stories across the state, but here in the Southeast, we don't see the wonders of places like Bradford County, low unemployment, in a godforsaken place where there's nothing much else happening. Talk about Marcellus Shale and the battle you've had back and forth over that.
Well, first off, I think we can all agree that natural gas is a better form of energy than regular gasoline. It's cleaner. It's going to power your cars. It's powering the electric turbines. It is creating cheaper energy.
Poisoning water.
Okay. I'll disagree with that. But I accept you saying that. I disagree. Can I move on? Okay? So, it's cleaner. Okay? This industry, this gas in our land here in Pennsylvania and around the country is going to give us the ability to be energy independent of the Mideast. We are now in Pennsylvania a net exporter to the other states of natural gas rather than an importer. It is lowering our energy prices here in Pennsylvania so that other companies are going to be able to provide more jobs for people or come to Pennsylvania because they have cheaper energy in Pennsylvania than they do in other places. If you look at across the state where the growth of the natural gas is, you will see people from southeastern Pennsylvania up in those fields working. Sometimes they might be welding, other times they might be engineers, other times they might be delivering different types of goods and services up there. So this has boosted the economy of Pennsylvania. We've created, the industry has created, direct and indirect, I believe over 75,000 new jobs in Pennsylvania in that industry. And it's in the private sector, it's not in the public sector. Those aren't taxpayer dollars going to that, those are the private sector dollars going to it. But the most important thing is, it is a future source of energy for this country to run on. The most important thing I think we need to do is be energy independent. I know President Obama has talked about it, Governor Romney is talking about it, I have been talking about it. The sooner we become energy independent, the less we have to do.
Okay, everyone.